Hi everyone, this is Erica from Gokche Capital. Today is episode 13 of our Gokche Investor Series, and today we're continuing our mini-series on business strategy. But as a quick recap of our last episode, we briefly touched on some of the professional services we needed as we were setting up our business, including a registered agent, legal services, and tax professionals. And as I like to do, I'll also start out with the story. So we got a letter from the town stating taxes were due in 1 week for one of our info lots. We were surprised because we have our VA call every county once a month to check if taxes are due. However, because this particular lot was an infill lot and it was kind of a unique situation, it was a lot where taxes were handled at multiple levels of government. So there were the town taxes, and there were actually also school district taxes. And the county didn't know the status of the payment during the pay period. Then all the taxes would filter up to the county after the initial pay period was over. So when our VA was calling, the county was actually only telling the VA that there were no delinquent taxes. And the other reason that we had missed the bill was because the town had not yet received our address from the county recorder, since we had bought the property only a few months ago. So we never received the bill. The moral of the story is here that taxes can be handled at multiple levels of government. If you own a house, you may be aware of this already, but especially with infill lots or anywhere that's in a more developed area, it's important to check all levels of government and make sure you know where all taxes are coming from for all properties. And you do need to know right away, because there can be sometimes a very long lag between when you record a document and when the assessor or tax collector has your updated address. All right, so today I'll go over, again, this is basic stuff, but very important as you're starting a business. So setting up a website and an email service and phone number, fax, and voicemail services. So setting up a website. Now, I will note that I've heard many of our colleagues state that there are many people who are in the land business and do not have a website and are doing well. From our perspective, we did very much want a professional looking website from the very beginning, especially at the very beginning when we didn't have a number of deals under our belt, and we wanted both potential buyers, but in large part potential sellers to come to our website and see that we were a legitimate company. And for us, setting up a website was not a big deal because my partner has a background in computer science. But just the basics of setting up a website if you have never done it before. The first step is to get a hosting service, and there are many hosting providers out there. We've tried, because we've done a couple websites now, so we've tried both SiteGround and GoDaddy at different points. They both are good, but again, there are many others as well. And just to note, so you'll have your hosting service, and usually you'll get your domain name through your hosting service, but you'll also need a web building platform where you actually build the website itself. So you may want to know which web building platform. WordPress is the most popular one out there, but which one you're going to go with so that you know that the hosting service you select is compatible with that platform. So just as an example, I'll use GoDaddy. GoDaddy hosting service, it is a hosting service, but it also, when you purchase the hosting service, you also get a domain name So that's the second step. You get your hosting service, and then you have to select a domain name, basically your URL. And so GoDaddy will do that for you when you sign up for their hosting service, and I think a lot of other services do that as well. And GoDaddy does also provide a business email account when you sign up for their hosting service. So you automatically get an email when you start your website. Also, using GoDaddy as an example, they do have their own website design services for anyone who doesn't know how to set up their actual website. I suspect a lot of other services have this as well. But many of the web building platforms, again, like WordPress, which is the most popular, are pretty easy to use these days. So it's completely possible to build your own website. We did it. But if that's too much, or it's going to take too long to figure it out, you could choose a hosting service that can do that for you. It will be an extra charge though. Or you could just go on a site like Upwork or Fiverr and hire someone to do it. And I also wanted to note, we haven't used it, so I'm not all that familiar with it, but I've heard other investors say good things about Carrot, which is a web building platform specifically for real estate investors. All right, so with calls and setting up a phone number, voicemail, and fax. So first, I actually just want to talk about call strategy. So at a high level, there are 4 options for handling incoming calls, and this would be on both the buy and sell side. The easiest way, or I suppose you could say, most cost-effective way would be to take care of all the calls yourself. So you just answer all your calls. But at some point that may become too much. So there are a couple of their options. The first is to have a call answering service, so something like Pat Live. And this is, it's basically routing your calls through a call center. And the call center will have a basic script, which the person answering the call will go through, and then they'll send you an email with the call dictated, and you can choose to call the caller back or not. And there's a set fee for every call. You could also choose to hire someone to answer calls, so have a VA or an offshore company to serve as basically a receptionist. And the last option, which again is a cost-effective option, is just to let a certain number of calls go to an automated voicemail, and then get the script of the voicemail and choose which ones you're going to respond to. So when we first started out, we took all calls ourselves, and we had all calls go through one number. And this was a number that we got through our web hosting service as well. Then as we ramped up, we separated out the numbers for our buy side and our sell side. And we started routing our buy side calls through Pat Live. So we had the call answering service take care of all our buy side calls. The nice thing about that is you know that someone will answer every call, even as the volume ramps up and you can't do it yourself. However, as we really began increasing our level of mail, we started to find that Pat Live was just too expensive to justify. So we continue to have 2 numbers for the buy and sell side, but on the buy side, we generally let the calls go to voicemail and return them within 24 hours. So the note here is just that our strategy evolved as our business grew. And I think as with every side of the business, you're constantly evolving and changing and tweaking. But we still do believe it's important to have one number for the sell side and one for the buy side. And the reason that we do this is we want to make sure that we prioritize the sell side. So we want to make sure that we personally answer as many calls from our potential customers as possible. And then on the buy side, we will return the calls within 24 hours. So that's what we do. Although there are many different takes on the best way to handle call strategy, I'm not necessarily saying this is the best strategy for everyone. But then for the numbers that we use, so again, our web hosting service gave us one of our numbers. So we did use GoDaddy. So we have a GoDaddy number for both our main business line and the sell side. And again, we try to answer that number personally for every call. We then got a Grasshopper number for our buy-side calls. And Grasshopper is another web-based number phone system. And we selected it because it is very affordable. It does send us an email with dictated voicemails. It has a nice app so you can see where all the calls are coming from. And it allows multiple extensions, and also a nice plus is that it can also be used as a fax number. So that's it on phone strategy and setting up voicemail, phone, and fax. And I'll just end with a story here. So when we had Pat Live handling our calls, we received a call from a prospective seller. And the seller wanted a higher price. We knew in this location that we could not come up on the price, so we told them that. And then the seller started calling back every few days for several weeks. And at first, we did call them back a couple times and basically had the same conversation. They wanted to know if we could come up on the price, and we said we could not. But eventually, they did keep calling, and it went on for several weeks. So the seller almost doubled our Pat Live bill for that month. So the moral here is that it is important to have a screening strategy for unique situations, especially if you are paying a fair amount to have someone else answer your calls. Fortunately, these situations are very rare. Okay, so what's coming in the next episode? We will continue this mini-series on our business strategy, and we'll go over accounting and maintaining a profit and loss statement. And then finally, just a quick note for anyone who is not familiar with us. We do love giveaways, and if you go to our website at gokchecapital.com, you can learn more about our free land giveaway, free vacation giveaway, and free swag giveaway. Now, for a limited time, we are also offering free 15-minute consultation calls. And you can set up a call by sending us an email at info@gokchecapital.com. And then, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send us an email as well, or leave a comment in one of our videos, and we will answer it in our next presentation. So thank you for listening, and more to come.